You're listening to the Reaching Japan podcast. My name is James Miyashita. So glad that you're here today. In this podcast, we cover updates and news about what's currently happening in our lives and ministry. You can find us on the web at reachingjapan.com, facebook.com/reachingjapan, and twitter.com/reachingjapan. Now, if you haven't already, please leave us a review for this podcast so others can find it as well and join us on the journey of reaching Japan with the gospel. Thanks so much for tuning in. Here's what we're going to be talking about. Wow, okay, so it's been way too long since we've done one of these. Thanks so much for tuning in. There's been a lot going on, dealing with a lot of different things over here. So in our last episode, man, that was like a month ago. Wow. So Ezra's been bored. He's sleeping through the night now. We're getting adjusted to being a family of 5. It's kind of crazy. Lots to get adjusted to. So how are things going right now? So the church, man, it's been kind of a bumpy ride, up and down. In fact, like Sunday we had nobody show up, but then like Wednesday we had 2 people come. It's like when your midweek has more people than your Sunday. It's kind of a weird time right now. Anyway, they just announced that they're going to be extending the special prevention measures in our prefecture for another couple of weeks, which kind of stinks. I think people are really, it just depends on who you're talking to and where you're at with everything and the virus that, they're starting to open up the borders a little bit. But at the same time, they're being cautious about how they're handling things domestically. And a lot of the news is just, hey, everybody needs a booster shot. It was really weird, actually, a while back. I might have shared this with you, but there was an article. I get alerts from the news. And there was actually an article about a young doctor who had gotten his booster shot and then like the following week still contracted COVID. And immediately the article disappeared from the internet. And I figured there's probably some kind of conspiracy going on behind that. But whatever the case, we are still under that for the time being. There were like 30 or so prefectures that were under the special prevention measures. They just decided that beginning March 6th, which was supposed to be the end, at March 6th, about half of those are no longer going to be under that, but we are. So how exciting, right? That's what we're kind of dealing with right now. I actually ran into a family that came to one of our Christmas services. They haven't been back since, but they said, hey, we're actually talking about maybe coming back. But my wife, Rosie, has been in touch with his wife. And I was just sitting in a McDonald's close to the church, like working on stuff. And he's like, hey, it's like, oh, hi. Anyway, cheap office space, right? Anyway, so he was saying that there's been their entire school grades being told to stay home because someone got the virus, or their younger kids are in like daycare and their daycare shutting down, and it's just been back and forth, and it's kind of a weird time for families right now. So anyway, we're really hoping that dies down soon, and we can get back to normal, regularly scheduled programming. I mean, we're still having 3 services a week, but it's kind of a rocky area right now. Anyway, we are looking to start a new location in a more centralized location. So there's several people that I know, and I've got their contact info, but our church location is basically not where everything is happening. And so we don't have parking, and we don't have it's kind of hard to get to us, if that makes sense. And so the people that are coming to the church location are, living fairly close by for the most part. But then we have all these contacts who are, live 20, 30 minutes away. So we're trying to figure out, what can we do, and also try to maybe reach out to a younger audience, because where our church location is, come like 7, 8 p.m., it's pretty dead outside versus closer to where we live, and then, one station up from where we live where it's more centralized, 7, 8, 9 p.m., things are still moving along. and that there's high school kids roaming the streets after school over there, and so we're hoping to maybe reach a younger demographic in that area and see what we can do there. So that's supposed to go up. We're looking at starting that at the top of next month. It's going to be a super light setup. It's not. We're not doing like this full blown like church service. Think like a glorified Bible study. But basically, instead of calling it a church plant, we're calling it a branch church. Kind of like basically we have a church, but then we have a place where we also happen to meet on Sunday afternoons. And so we're going to actually try this on Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m. And push it that way. And say, hey, if you're interested, come and see how that turns out. So I sprained my ankle a week ago, and it's been kind of yellow and blue, but it's finally starting to settle down, so we'll be able to move around a little bit more and get a little more mobility after that. But other than that, we are doing well. So thanks so much for praying for us, and we will keep you in the loop about how things will continue to progress. So that's a little bit of what's been going on here. Now, if you have any questions or comments about what we talked about today, I'd love to hear from you. I will do my best to answer those questions on this podcast. You can always reach me via email. My email address is james@reachingjapan.com. That's james@reachingjapan.com. We are honored to serve under the direction of Vision Baptist Church and Vision Baptist Missions in Alpharetta, Georgia. If you're looking for a way to take your next step in ministry or missions, please reach out to me. Thanks for tuning in today. We will see you next time.